In this video we're going to replace the drain pump on a Samsung front loader washing machine, and unfortunately you're not going to know the pump went bad until it doesn't pump any water. And I'll show you how I discovered at least how it failed when I was doing it. What I wanted to show you is the impeller turns freely here, but on the new one it's almost like, starting an airplane propeller. It's just stiff. This one was $84.50. With shipping it came to $96.18. I'll do the labor myself. The other thing you want to know, both of them go in and out a little bit. Have a little play there, but you'll notice with this one, kind of like your car, it wobbles a little bit. See how that wobbles? That means it's probably broken out of the bushings. And this one does not wobble hardly at all. So we'll go ahead and replace this and make sure that everything is working correctly. Alright, so here's all the pump parts. It's the casting with the discharge and the inlet on a shock base plate, shock mounted base plate. Then we have the motor. It's an electric motor with the impeller. And then we have a motor shroud. So I'll put this all together and install it. So on the casting there is a little flap here. It's a check valve, and that's on the discharge line. All the head pressure from your discharge hose is prevented from pressuring the impeller when it starts up. And then on the suction side, you just have the water coming in from the washing machine. If you can't remember how it came apart, you can see where the screws were started. You can see which holes were used and which ones were not. So the mounting screws are about 120 degrees apart, and it's going to sit on there like this. I'm going to put the shroud on and show you again. So here we are in the back of the washing machine. We have the discharge hose, we have the suction line, and we have the electrical connection. And the pump's going to sit right in here. Alright, you want to connect your electrical here, and it's pretty much idiot proof. And these guys right here that look like shoulder bolts are going to go into the shock mounts here. And so let me install those. So I had to use a 12mm socket to break them loose, but I'm just going to screw them in with the screwdriver. Connect the hoses. You can see the motor shock pads and then the mounting plate shock pads. There's a lot of torque going on in there. Make sure that's on there, and these guys just very simple and easy to clamp on. This one I'm going to need some pliers. And then anything else you disconnected, you want to reconnect. Got this hose stay here. Now I want to talk about what you're going to have to deal with. Depending on when it failed is going to depend on how much water you have to deal with. Your discharge line is going to be full of water. So you'll be dealing with all the water in that hose, and then you'll be dealing with all the water in the machine depending on how much water is in there. And we just reinstall the access panel. Then make sure the drain line is connected, the water's on, and the electrical's plugged in, and then we'll test it. Alright, let's test it out with the rinse and spin. Oh, funny story. I thought I could just let the water run into these drawers here and then clean it up from the drawers, but they have holes in them, so it went into the floor. Brilliant. Also, it's really stupid that the bottles really don't fit in here. If you're buying a new pedestal, or if you're going to a front loader, raise it up as high as you can to set it onto the pedestal. Just move those feet up really high and give you some headroom in there. So when I did receive the ND code, it says your washer is not draining. It could also mean that the unit senses a small clog or a frozen hose. And then it tells you how to unfreeze the hose. So anyway, no help there. Alright, there's the pump running, and that's when it failed. It stopped when it said spin 11. It would just make a lot of noise and finally flag with the ND code. So now I'm going to go back in the back and check for leaks and make sure it's discharging. Alright, looks like problem solved.